Yes. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Noel, as already pointed out. So I'm a partner and owner at Human Made. Does anybody know who Human Made is? Good, 2 people. Cool. So we're about 25 humans now, spread around the world. We're actually a remote company. This is our new branding. I hope you like it. We're also a WordPress.com VIP partner, which means we work with enterprise projects for WordPress.com. I think we're the only ones in Europe, which is quite fun. And yeah, we have our company split in between agency work and product work. So on one hand, we do a lot of client projects for larger sort of enterprise companies. One of the most recent examples was Airbnb. We did the Fall of the Berlin Wall, the anniversary website for that. That was really fun. Also a great experience. I think 90 people worked on a project like that. It's quite a different sort of scale. And then on the other hand, we work with products. So I lead up the product side of the business, whereby we have Happy Tables and WP Remote. So I was thinking tonight, I'd give you this product talk, how to create these complex web applications on top of WordPress. Not my phone, is it? So how to create these complex web applications on top of WordPress. But that's quite an undertaking. And I thought, let me step back and demonstrate something that's more practical for everyone in the room. So before I jump into that, I do want to show quickly how WordPress can be used to create crazier stuff. Let's see if I can figure this out. So maybe I need to... Yeah. Alright, let me try something else. Why is this funny? That kind of worked. I'm breaking my own product, which is silly. The resolution is so shit. So, yeah, crap. This is very responsive. What's the resolution on this?
System 609, so it should be...
What is it?
12.
You can change the resolution.
Yeah, go to system preferences.
Yeah. See, I'm not good with computers.
Press command
No, here we go. I just gotta figure out which side of the screen it is.
Scaled, yeah. Scaled.
There should be another window as well. So,
What do you, because of the,
under that there might be a...
let me try to mirror this place. That did not work. Here we go. Try to break everything. Prepare yourselves. Alright, cool. I'm just going to do it here now. Cool. Hopefully we can get back to the slides after. We'll see. So this is what we've built on top of WordPress, right? So as a really a 2-minute condensed demonstration of what is possible by using WordPress as an engine, as an application framework, and then building on top of that, communicating through the WordPress REST API to a JavaScript framework, in this case Knockout.js, to then create a full front-end editor. So we've given restaurants, which Happy Tables is built for, so we allow restaurants to build and manage their own website. I'm sure I've said that before. It's kind of like Squarespace, but for restaurants. To basically change any aspect of their website as they wish through the front end. So you can change the fonts, do all sorts of fun stuff, and then change content on the fly. So let's say I have this little spotlight block. I can click on edit here. I can change the image. I can edit. I can align stuff. So switch that around. Change the text in here, and confirm that, and then that is a live change, which is done. So for them, this is their experience. There's no WP admin. There's no I'm on a spaceship. I don't know where I'm going. I'm about to crash. They have everything from here, which is fun. So even content blocks can be dragged in as they please, and I just This is how demos work. Brick stuff. But here you go. So this is the quick demonstration of what is possible when you try to build products using WordPress and you treat WordPress as a tool as opposed to the full sort of solution, as it is by itself. So let's go back to this. This is not going to work. Let's see. Demos. And we'll turn off here. Need my mouse back. There we go. Play. This is cool. So, survived. So that was a more complex, like I said, that was a more complex integration of what WordPress is. The sort of things I want to show you today are leaner. It's a better starting point for everyone in the room if they want to build products. Is that to you? All right. So we can start way at the back and say, what is a product? So I had to look this up because I'm not sure, what the official definition is. But a product is anything that can be offered to a market that might satisfy a want or need. So this is very interesting because the key word here is might. So that implies success or failure, right? You could totally win, become Uber, become Airbnb, become Skype, or whatever, or you can totally fail and we don't remember the names at all because they're already gone. So that's the beauty of a product. What is the name?
MySpace.
I haven't heard of that. So why build a product? For me, the biggest thing is always passion. I'm always passionate about an idea. I want to build something. I see something. I have this little vision or whatever. I've drank too much. I'm like, oh yes, we can fix this. Or somehow you see a way to solve someone else's problems. So there's a solution in sight which hasn't been done yet. That's always great. And then there's always that sort of like monetary drive, right? That we can somehow create scalable income, so that we can somehow replicate value that we give to one customer across many customers, so that we can have all those people pay us money for us doing the same kind of work. It doesn't pan out like that, but that's at least a thought we have, right? And then there's also passive income, the ability to generate income when we're asleep, right? So the website's still going, you're still selling themes, you're still selling plugins, or you're selling subscriptions to your website, and that's passive income. But most of all, when I talk to people, when they want to build an online product of any sort of scale, plugin, theme, full-blown web application using WordPress, they're usually looking for a way out. They don't like their 9-to-5 job. They want to be independent. They don't like their boss. And those sort of push factors aren't exactly the right sort of motivations, but if it gets you closer to the goal and you have enough of the pull factors in terms of passion and this real drive to create stuff, then sure, why not? I had a mix of the two when I quit banking, so I guess it helped out. Now, like I said, you're not going to win all the time. You'll have, for every success you'll have about 10 failures. But we love to feel that when we go into a product for the first time that it's going to work out, that it's going to be great, and it just doesn't pan out like that. But we learn so much from it, which is great. So what I like to do now is share some of the pointers, some advice, some of my lessons learned as to what I've done in the past and where I sort of started. So, I created my first website in '95, which is a fair amount ago. But over the years, I've always created more and more stuff online, which is really important. Is that sort of habit of putting things online, putting yourself out there, becoming vulnerable, right? So you want to. It's always tough, right? Because you create a product completely by yourself, not for a client, and then you want to put it online, and you're going to be judged by people. A lot of people are uncomfortable with that, right? And that's something that the more you do, the less it becomes an issue. So to give you an example, a couple of years ago, I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was I was just laying there in the morning, and I do what anybody else does in that time, and I think about, you know, the new CSS3 filters that just came out. And I had this idea of like, oh, I could use, you know, CSS, the blur filter together with image masking that you can do on CSS to create this fake sort of tilt shift effect on top of images, right? So, and then the idea just blew up, and I was like, I need to execute this. So 4 hours later, I had the code done. I had the page done, ready to go. So this is the only page on my website which does not run WordPress, because I sort of anticipated if I post this right, I'll get a lot of traffic for it, right? So I'm not going to try and push my luck as a non-developer to, you know, get a ton of people on my website. So I flattened everything, I optimized all the images, and that was the right thing to do. I mean, that's the good call, because once I posted it to Hacker News, it got up to the 4th position. I got a bunch of traffic. I had 890 concurrent on the site, which is pretty fun because Smashing Bag retweeted it. A few other people retweeted it too, which I can't remember. But it was just this great and empowering experience. Even if, you know, there was thought leaders that said, hey, why did you solve it that way? Why did you do it that way? You know, yeah, okay, criticism, that's fine, but it's still coming from people that have an extremely knowledgeable, you know, background. So it's really free consulting in a way. It's just really a matter of how you look at these things. So that was a great experience. So the other plus side is I'm able to bust everyone's balls at the company because I'm the non-developer, and I still have one repository that has the most stars on GitHub. So, you know, even Ryan McHugh with his WordPress API thing can't get above that. So, tough luck. I'll keep that going. And what's interesting is I just checked today, and I'm still getting tweets, right? March 25th, March 24th, 23rd, 23rd, 23rd. And I released this 3 years ago. I haven't touched it since. You know, if you go back a slide, you'll see initial commit, you know, 3 years ago. And like, it's fun. I mean, obviously it doesn't go anywhere in terms of, you know, monetizing it or whatever. It's not the purpose, right? It's about shipping. It's about starting somewhere. It's about understanding how to package something up and put it out there and have people like it, retweet it, push it out, further push it down to social, whatever you want to call it. Basically have a good time, you know. Yeah, it was really fun. I had another one of these moments where I was staring at the kitchen wall and I was like, oh, what can I do? And then all of a sudden it hit me, you know, for Happy Tables I needed an inbound marketing site. So over the weekend, I then created better restaurant websites. It was a Saturday and Sunday hack. Like, I'm one of those people that works 20 hours through on an idea and then passes out for like another 20 hours. It's just, I'm not going to do 8 hours a day. And this is exactly what I envisioned, so I coded it up. I made sure that I wasn't really using images anywhere, quite little. So like even this little texture stuff, that's all CSS. The whole sort of textured text, so that's all font-based, plus an image map on the background and make it all grungy and stuff. So it was fun because it worked. I put it on Twitter. It got retweeted by Chris Coyer of CSS Tricks. It got retweeted by Leah Veru, you know, CSS extraordinaire. Got retweeted by Aaron Walter, UX lead of MailChimp, which was, you know, it's incredible personal validation, even if no money came out of it, right? It's empowering. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, when you get ideas, you have small ideas in your mind that you want to do, you want to execute, just do them. You know, you don't have to have perfect code. I mean, you know, like I'm the perfect example of non-perfect code. So, you know, why start small? There's almost no investment. So like, you know, these little hacks I've done have taken me, I don't know, you know, a day at most. And then it's fire and forget, right? I don't really manage these projects anymore. So it's not really something where if you put it out there, you're going to have to manage it forever, right, if you start small. Obviously, if you create a product that you want to monetize, that's a different story. We'll get to that later. But for right now, start small. Like I said, it's small risk in terms of your time investment, what you could lose out of it. I mean, you're not going to really lose a lot of reputation by shipping code. It'd be really, really hard. If anything, you'll get excellent feedback. Sometimes you'll get nasty feedback too, but just put it aside. It's like everything else in life. And like I said, it's an empowering experience, right? It gives you the energy to create more, to sort of keep that cycle going of creating stuff, as opposed to always wondering, oh, I could ship this or I could ship that, and then not really ever doing it. So starting small. At one point, you may want to create a product that maybe costs money, or you have a serious sort of plan in terms of what you want to create. So you want to, create something with a bit more roots to it. So you're going to have to start acquiring users in one way or another in a consistent manner. So there's a lot of things you can do once you've created your product, but the biggest sort of starting point is definitely, having a presence, having some form of brand, clear communication. It's hard to do, to talk about this in a minute and then encapsulate it all. It's really about being the full package as opposed to just being a product. So you really want to get the message and the consistency across the website, right? It's still something I get wrong. I get too bogged down in product, and then I forget about stuff on the website, and I'm like, shit, where did this page come from? I probably deleted it like 4 years ago. So that happens. But there's excellent, or rather, go a step back. So with WordPress and the ecosystem that we have, we're in a lucky position, right? Because we have WordPress.org. That is free distribution from someone who's trying to sell plugins or themes or whatever. You couldn't have an easier sort of in as compared to like other communities out there. I mean, if you look at something like Yoast with WordPress SEO, right? He has now he has a full team, and you can see right here. So from his free plugin with 4.5 million active installs, he's got he's got premium stuff going on. So he's selling premium ones. He's doing website reviews, which are 400 euros, 500 euros, something ridiculous. And then ebooks, which are like 20, 30 bucks a piece. So he's monetizing the entire back end off of a free plugin, and that works, really well. So it's worked for a lot of people that are not very savvy on the business center, are not very motivated to do insane Facebook ads, AdWords, all that kind of stuff. They've done a great job sort of just growing organically inside of the WordPress ecosystem. For someone like us, where we're running something like Happy Tables, that's a different story. We don't have the WordPress ecosystem to fall back on. So we have to have outbound marketing as well as inbound marketing. Woocommerce, another great example. They've been quite open since the beginning. So Woocommerce, as everybody knows, is a free platform. And then on the back end, you can buy extensions. Now, the genius thing they've done is that they've aggregated the sale of extensions on their website, but anybody can sell extensions, right? So they just take a cut off the top. So you'll find plugins which cost $199. I mean, that's great. I'm really happy for them. Obviously, if you want to make money, you have to spend money as an e-shop or as a company or whatever. So these are excellent backends. But the thing is, they're not doing most of the code here. They're just reviewing some of the parts and then taking a sales commission. So they've become the ultimate exchange for e-commerce extensions and tools and everything for WordPress. But it is really important to not only maintain a product, but to also package it correctly, like I was saying before, to have that entire scaffolding. Let's look at a case where it's a total fail. One of my plugins. So I have Hemi. after the little squirrel that drinks Red Bull and Over the Hedge. It's a great movie if you haven't seen it. Now, Hammy here is a plugin to create responsive images on your website. So if you have a blog and someone visits it from a mobile device, it will automatically rescale the images so that you are then saving a lot of bandwidth for yourself, but more importantly for the experience of the user. So, in theory, great. But the thing is, this is one of those products where I did kind of fire and forget. I just put it out and see where it went. And then, this happens, right? Where someone who manages their plugin quite well on WordPress will have all 5 stars. It's not rocket science. Have good product, have good documentation, have videos, be on forums, responding to people's questions. I'm not doing those things, right? It's pretty obvious. So I have these 1-star ratings, almost as many as the 5-star ones. So I have comments like, do not work. Look good, but not working for me. Just simply don't work. It just simply doesn't work. And then the other one's just too long. So let's zoom in one. So what I tried to do after like 6 months of finding these issues, I'm like, shit, these people are saying all these bad things about me. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to save the day, right? So this guy, just doesn't simply work. What's wrong? Cheers. Hello. Like, I can't get this guy anymore, right? He's gone. He's just gone. Like, he was gone within 2 minutes, He must have just simply doesn't work, and then, oh, hello, he just disappeared. He'll never come back to this, right? I've lost him. So, the packaging, the support, who your personality is, how you interact with your customers, what the story is, that all needs to tie in really, really well, As soon as you start charging people money, you can't half-ass it anymore, right? But the good thing is, it's not rocket science to take care of people. It's an attitude. It's not like this supreme skill set. So, to sort of sum up the whole sort of distribution, how you're going to acquire users. One is inbound, right? So blog posts, content, having this great, well-rated plugin on WordPress.org for what we do. That's been so massive for a couple companies. Outbound marketing, if you're just starting out, probably don't do it. In terms of advertising, you're going to lose money as opposed to make money, simply because there are a lot of quirks and a lot of skills relating to how to optimize Google AdWords, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, and all that kind of stuff. I already mentioned packaging. I fail at it, so hopefully you guys do a better job with your plugins. Please do. It's really important. And if all else fails, change your product a bit. Iterate, pivot, do something else. Try to figure out what works and what doesn't. And then the last tip I have is measure. So you definitely, if you have a product, regardless of how small or how big, find out how it performs. So I'm not quite sure which slides I've thrown in here, so I'm just going to have to go for it. Okay, my own website traffic. Cool. So who here has their own website for their portfolio, brand, whatever? Cool. Great, so that's most of you, which is why this will be relevant. So as you can see, my entire life depends off this jQuery tilt shift plugin that I showed you guys before. No, it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't. But I've gotten most of the traffic from there. But analytics is important, right? Because it tells you where you're succeeding, where you're failing. And these are simple things that you can do with any website. So if you guys blog, you can see for all of your content how well it performs. So for instance, I have to look at my screen. No, that doesn't help. Small. Bounce rate is great, right? Because it tells us how many people land on the website, pop right back off. So with this tilt shift plugin I released, 92% bounce right back off, right? So they only came for the plugin, they disappeared. They would not really bring any value to me in that regard. But then something like 55%, that was my home directory. Let's take 61%. How to create custom post types for events. So, 60%, that's already a lot better. It makes sense, so, because my audience on my blog is mostly related to WordPress stuff. I also, you'll also find there's interesting statistics in there, like, I probably did the first article on how to use less with WordPress back then. And although that has a much higher bounce rate of 81%, probably because it's getting a lot of Google just organic traffic, the ones where it is relevant still boosts an incredible sort of average time on page of 11 minutes. So it's certainly relevant for a smaller core of my traffic, but then for other parts of the traffic it fails out. So like there's larger extremes there. Now, statistics, analytics, all that kind of stuff, or measuring or playing around with stuff, you can totally lose yourself in data. Don't look at data and assume whatever it says is true. A mistake I certainly made earlier was to look at data and then try to create my own story in it. Be like, oh, this is why this is happening, not like that. So, take it at face value. Sometimes we get lost in stuff like A/B testing, split testing, multivariate testing. Again, you need a lot of traffic for that, right? Something like Visual Website Optimizer, which is one of these tools that does A/B testing, will tell you, oh, you need a sample size of 1,000, right, to be able to have like a sort of, to be positive about a certain change between variant A and variant B. The only problem with that is that we've seen blog posts in the past where people have tested with 10,000, 20,000, or 30,000 sessions, and then done the test again, only to have different results. So, A/B testing again, unless you have that volume, is not going to tell you that much. Same as analytics, use it in a smart way. Don't read into it too much. A great way to also use analytics is from a defensive perspective, right? So if you want to see that your website is actually performing well across devices, you could certainly check the bounce rate across different browsers, across different devices. So if my average bounce rate across all browsers is 60%, but then for Firefox it's 80%, I've probably broken some for that browser specifically. So you can have these sort of passive triggers to see what's jumping off and what's not. And as you go further along, you can use crazier stuff. On Happy Tables, we use full user tracking to be able to understand how the user goes through the website, how they act, what they do. It's very provides a lot of insight since it records the screen. It also allows us to see specific issues that they're experiencing on their device. So it's almost as if we're testing across multiple devices without owning those devices. It's quite powerful. So that's one way of improving user experience. Then there's other tools whereby you can sort of drill down more on a user level. So another tool we use is Mixpanel. We push a lot of data to that for Happy Tables. How many food items do they have? What have they viewed recently? We can do cohort tests on that. We can run funnels. There's a lot that can happen there. But yeah, so this is sort of the wonderful world of products, and I was thinking before, how could I do a talk on using WordPress with products? But the thing is, WordPress is just a tool. Regardless if you're building it as a website for a client or if you're building it for a product you have, like the code's not going to change that much, right? Sure, if you have a product, you'll probably document it better. You'll have more detail in there. You won't do anything that's too hacky, but ultimately it's sort of the same thing. A client's website is a product too, right? So if you work for Airbnb or you work for your little pizza shop next door, both of them are trying to convert. Both of them are trying to bring money into the door. They're both products in that sense. It's just that one might be your product and the other might not. So that concludes my session. Thank you. Yes.
Got loads of questions.
Good. Oh.
Um,
We need to get another beer.
I don't know where to start really. I've got an idea for, we've all got ideas, but I've got an idea for a WordPress-based vertical.
Cool.
Like Happy Tables. I'm really inspired by Happy Tables.
Cool.
I think it's really
Thank
cool. Has the reality of it been anything like what you first thought in terms of the experience, but also like from a business point of view? Has it been as successful as you thought it might be? Has it been more successful? Has it been harder? Has it been easier?
Simple answer to it being what I expected is fuck no.
Yeah.
So it's very hard. Like, I mean, I'm a dreamer. I went in with full dreams, you know, hopes and everything, and they continue to get shattered every day on everything I work. So it's just that's how it is. That's the game, right?
Yeah.
If you're not failing every day, you're not moving forward. So I'm happy I'm in that place. We've definitely had a lot of successes with it. Some which were different than we expected. From a financial perspective, we licensed the IP at one point, which is quite significant, very significant. And then there was also points where we just didn't have enough resources put towards it.
Yeah.
So that's the other sort of challenge, right? You know, we can run, you know, something like we have Backup WordPress, for instance, which is a plugin that we manage, and we don't have to do anything for revenue on there. You know, that's a few thousand every month that just comes in without doing anything. But then on Happy Tables, for that few thousand, we have to do a lot more, right? But I mean, on the flip side, the lifetime value of that customer is much larger, right? But it's very challenging. Like it's something I certainly recommend doing, simply for the experience. Yeah, it's gonna throw you down, and you have to find a way out.
Yeah, thanks, Noel.
Pleasure.
So when you first launch your products, so it doesn't have a place in the market. You've got an idea of where you want it to be. Nobody knows about it. So how do you actually launch it?
Good question.
Because you mentioned like, well, you don't want to advertise first. You don't want to put revenue into that because you don't know kind of where that's going and things like that. So.
Do you have a specific idea we could play off, or?
Yeah, so we've got an idea for something that helps people chase overdue payments. So we're looking to kind of build an app,
Okay.
web app around that, working with our accountants.
Yeah, right. Yeah, see, that is a tough one, because you're looking at B2B sales there, right? And I think B2B is quite a different animal than consumer, straight consumer stuff. If you're really looking at a larger product, you should definitely try to prove out your audience from the beginning. So talk to people in the industry, figure out who are the best sort of fit in terms of clientele, and if you're able to then sort of come up with a demographic for that and actually target that through various platforms, be it Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, that's already one way you can push outbound because it's B2B. Probably the reality of it, you're going to have to do a lot of cold calls, cold emails, like there's just no way around that for B2B. You know, you're not going to have this launch day where everything comes in. Yeah, you'll get tweets, you'll get Facebook mentions, you'll get all that kind of stuff, and that's, you know, what we've generally experienced with all our launches. But it's fun because, you know, you celebrate the launch, you get it out the door, you've got the code done, right? So the launch is more about actually your own internal milestone as opposed to expecting, you know, build it, they will come, right? So, yeah, there's nothing pretty about it for B2B sales in that regard. Yeah.
Should probably also check as no competition. Like in your ideas case, I know it's another.
Yeah, it's slightly.
And you can then, you know, market on their keywords too.
Yeah.
In the early stages, say Happy Tables is somewhat disruptive, somewhat completely new. Being aware that there were other people out there in that kind of sector that might go, oh yeah, we could do that and crush it. Did you have a particular kind of tactic approach to that? I mean, obviously, you know, Automatic kind of moved into it a little bit themselves. So
Yeah.
did you just kind of have to respond to that once it happened, or did you think about that from day one?
I didn't think about it. That's the honest truth. Like I said, I'm a dreamer. I had this vision of a product, and you know, we were able to prove it out pretty early with a couple restaurants already. So we just went in. I mean, I was selling. My first thing was selling WordPress themes, right? I called it Theme Force, not Theme Forest, and it was not on purpose. I only realized later it was something called Theme Forest because I'm so stupid. And I also, when I first released that theme, it was full of like PHP errors and like notices and stuff. It was just terrible. But I was selling it for 99 bucks in a time when these themes were being sold for 40 bucks. So it worked out from that perspective, but I knew we could get closer to the restaurants themselves. I know we also still are in a different part of the market than something like Squarespace. So let's say you do take Squarespace. You know, two differentiating factors for us is you can get us on the phone. You can't get anybody at Squarespace on the phone. That's a very big thing for restaurants. Two is the amount of integrations that are restaurant specific, or the sort of features that really lend themselves well to restaurants, such as having multiple menu designs for the food menus. So ultimately the market is large enough for a lot of people. You know, am I going to pitch that, oh, I can get 1% of the market, you know, if we just do this and that? No, but certainly enough to make it viable. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so differentiating a fair bit. And,
Sorry?
So differentiating a fair bit, community.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes just simple changes will make you a different kind of company. I mean, just the fact that they can get us on the phone is a massive difference. I realize that with my phone calls with restaurants. So, yeah. Questions? Oh,
One more.
that's it?
Yeah, one more.
So I was just wondering, when you were doing hashtags, it's quite a different beast from like normal WordPress sites, right? Did you?
Just a theme.
Yeah.
Add-on.
Did you struggle finding expertise or people to kind of help you out and work on it?
Well, no. We're really lucky. I think we have, I mean, 2 of our employees are on the WordPress REST API team, so that helps. I'm an asshole, so I push the project forward. That helps. We just have, no, the expertise didn't lack from a builder's perspective. So I think from a sales perspective, that's like where we made a lot of mistakes early on. So we're all builders at Human Made. So we all love to dream up great products and come up with great products for the end user. But to actually distribute them to the end user, you also need salespeople, right? So that is an expertise we're just not gonna, it's not gonna walk into the WordPress community or at WordCamps or WordPress meetups.
Yeah. So Hashtags was kind of a human-made project from the start.
Yeah, pretty much. Sort of, because I wasn't part of Human Made till later on, although we've worked together forever. It was just a matter of putting everything that we own together. So from a non-legal perspective, yes, it's been a Human Made Noel thing since forever. And then, yeah, it's always been Human Made in terms of the tech. Because there was a theme shop before which I owned, and then I went to Tom and Joe and was like, hey, do we want to turn this into like a full-blown web application? They're like, you're nuts. And we're like, yes, but do you still want to do it? And they're like, okay.
Great. No.
But
Excellent, thank you.